Welcome to Lowcountry View with Earl Yates. I'm your host, and today my guest is Ed McCullough.
Why do you say it like that?
Such a personality. There we go. It's been some time now that I started Lowcountry View, and Ed was one of the greater influences of me being in this seat right now, which is so dynamic, how the roles have changed right now. But of course, he's a huge island personality. You know, I'm sure that Ed can't go anywhere without being seen, known, and now talked about. But that's what we're here to do. Is
What do you mean by that?
Talk a little bit about Ed McCullough. Yeah, we'll just start briefly, Ed, about who you are. Of course, because not everybody that sees Lowcountry View this first time is going to know exactly who Ed McCullough is. So, give our viewers a little stint of who you are.
You know, before I even get into that, can I just say I am so happy to be sitting here at this table with you and so proud of you sitting in this chair and the job that you're doing.
Thank
and
you.
maybe we can start with that. Maybe that's part of my DNA, which is like, okay, I go and do what I do, but the greatest joy is sharing what you do in such a way that people that you care about come on along for the party. And you sitting in this chair is about the most gratifying thing that I can think of at the moment.
Thank you. Absolutely.
I mean, it's just wonderful, yeah. We were talking a little bit before we came on. I used to sit in this chair, you sit in this chair, and you mentioned community service. And it's something that we share. When I sat in the chair talking to people in this community, first and foremost, it was, if I were to describe my conception, my feeling about it, it was a community service. Yes. I remember, where was I? I think I was at the Island Packet's greatest yard sale, and I was volunteering with the Rotary. And this lady came up and recognized me from TV, and she just said, I just want to thank you for giving our community such an effective voice back to itself. It's like you're having a conversation with the community. And I think, and let me say this in praise of the job that you do. I really do believe that if you're going to do it really well, it has to be about something bigger than yourself. You got to have something that really sparks your fire. And I can just feel your commitment to the community. You grew up here. You really are local.
Believe that?
Yeah. I remember going to an event where you gave a talk that you and David from Roast Fish and Cornbread grew up together on the island. And you talked about going into the woods and the adventures that you had as kids. And I'd like more, see, I'm interviewing you now.
Hey, that's all right, Ed. I figured it would get this way, but that's all right.
But you never gave the details, and I have a feeling some things happened. I'd like more details on what happened in those woods when you were a kid.
Hey, the woods is like Las Vegas, man. What happens in the woods stays in the woods. No, but Ed, you, of course, watching Talk of the Town before actually knowing much about it and seeing you and knowing that you're a personality here on the island. Of course, everyone knew Ed. And then, of course, knowing you also from your landscaping company. It was just, for me, I tried to follow the same blueprint as far as trying to make everyone that came on a household. Of course, not a household name, I shouldn't say that, because we're not that big where I'd make someone a household name, but make sure that everyone that saw the show would understand exactly who they are. Hence is the reason why you're on.
It's about the other guy.
Man, it's all about you. That's why if you sit here and talk...
No, it's about you.
No, it's not about you. This is my show. It's not about you.
But it is, it is about a relationship. I'll tell you another one that happened to me. I'm lined up at Publix and standing in the line. A lady's in front of me. She turns around and she looks at me and she's like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And we start talking, and I'm pretty good like remembering faces and stuff. And I'm like, "Man, I don't know this lady. I don't know her." And we chatted. I'm waiting for the light bulb to go off. We chat for like a minute or two. And then all of a sudden she says, "Oh my gosh, I just realized I don't know you. You're the guy from TV, right? And I started laughing and said, yeah, that's me. And she said, well, we feel like you're part of the family, you know? And I thought that was really a nice place to be.
Well, give our viewers a little listing of all the things that you've done on Hilton Head for other small businesses. Of course, they
my
know
goodness.
the talk of the town and everything.
I got
like
here
that.
in '84, went to work for the Sea Pines Company. Unfortunately, right after a guy named Bobby Ginn, God bless Bobby Ginn, took over, and it hit some financial difficulty, and that financial difficulty propelled me out of the company and into my own first business, which was New Leaf Management. Managed 44 regimes on the island, had 120-something employees during the peak of the summer season. Sold that in '96. '97 started Second Nature, which was my landscape company. In recent years, well, talking about community, along with Diane Fernari, who was a co-Rotarian with me at the Van Landingham Rotary, we started the Bluffton Farmers Market, probably, what was that? I guess that was 2008. And, you know, that to me, I mean, the beauty, the blessing of being in the seat at Talk of the Town was that I knew everybody. I knew the guys at the town. I knew the guys at the county. I knew the guys at the Rotary. I knew all these constituent groups who could help make that vision become a reality. And I remember opening day, I think we had over 500 people there, and we had about a dozen vendors. And somebody came up to me and said, I think all 500 people are your personal friends, you know?
Go figure.
Yeah, but you know what? It was an honor and a blessing to take the benefits of the connections made sitting in this seat and apply them toward making a wonderful event like, you know, the Bluffton Farmers Market. I'm still in an advisory board member capacity, but and that's the beautiful thing about it. I like to make things happen. I like to create them. I like to get them going, and then when it becomes, what do they call it? When it becomes work, I like to give it to somebody else, you know? So I have a board of directors. I now am an advisory board member. But that event, you know, at the peak of the summer, you know, we could have as many as 50 vendors out there. You know, I've had small local farmers come up to me and say that the Bluffton Farmers Market is absolutely the difference between whether they make it or they don't. Because they can go to that market. You know, you go on a Thursday afternoon in the middle of the summer, oh my goodness, you know, we've had days when the count was over 3,000, you know, and tourists love it. We did a survey 2 summers ago on a Thursday afternoon in July, and on that day, I think it was 65% of the people at the market were tourists. And they love it.
Now you also, after the farmers market, you had your little run for mayor.
Oh,
Give us a little bit of that.
Infamous run for mayor.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that. How was that an experience for you, since it was much different than anything you jumped in? Because of course, you know, I never knew Ed McCullough as the political man, and to see you in that environment was different.
I didn't know Ed McCullough, the political man, either, and apparently a majority of the voters didn't either as well. But you know, I think the total was 13 or 14 forums, and I can tell you, over the course of the forums, those debates, those getting up in front of all those people and talking about a vision of where the town needs to go, must go. And you know, I come to it from the same place, community. We got to build it as a community, and it's got to be positive. And my central theme, honestly, was in regard to the culture at Town Hall. We absolutely must reinvent it so that it supports and promotes our community, including our, believe it or not, our business people are members of our community, and we can't be adversarial. Because if you hurt the business or you keep it down, it ultimately is not good for the community. And I have to say, because I know we got to go to break, but I just helped a buddy of mine, Roger Friedman, at the Broad Creek Marina, get through the approval process for a zip line. There's a zip line opening in the spring, and going down to the town, it was like night and day. It's like somebody flipped a switch, and they're positive and they're helpful, and they assigned us an advocate, and it was like, so to my mind, you know, I established the dialogue, I created the vision, I spoke of it in the forums, and by some magical osmosis, I'm happy to say it looks like it's hit fertile ground, because the guys at the town are awesome.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Well,
Me too.
So even if you didn't win, you had a positive influence on what was going on.
I hope so.
Well, good.
On the dialogue.
Come on. That's Ed McCullough. Of course, it's been the first part of Lowcountry View, and Ed McCullough, what a personality. I'm sure you're enjoying yourself and enjoying Ed also. We're going to take a short break, and Ed will be here when you get back. Welcome back to Lowcountry View with Earl Yates. I'm your host, and still we have Ed McCullough. Ed, we'll get back to, of course, just talking about you, which, you know, that's always a very delightful spot.
Thanks.
We'll move a little further. Of course, the last thing we spoke of was about the mayoral candidate that you were at the time. And of course, you know, since then, Ed's had quite a journey, so to speak.
You know, I really have. I'm gonna establish a theme for the journey.
Yes.
Which really follows right up on what we said in the first segment, and that is that I do see pretty much virtually everything in terms of a spiritual journey. I really believe that everything happens for a reason, and I believe that if we pray and we meditate and we remain open and honest and humble, there's lessons to be learned there's positives, there's blessings, and there's lessons to be learned from every experience. By the way, what are we talking about without actually saying it?
Without actually saying it. Come on, Ed. Being of course, being as large of a personality as you are on the island, of course, you ran into a little problem, I guess you would say, with the law, and took a little. I guess you were on a 3-month vacation, and
yeah, I call it away time.
Yeah, away time. A lot of time to think.
The desert experience.
There you go. So I know that experience in itself, which it's how or what happened to get there, I'm not really concerned about.
Yeah.
But my biggest thing is when someone who looks at the community like yourself, it was kind of weird when I heard it, because I always thought of Ed as the man who was always trying to do something for the community. But then when you're like, did you hear Ed was in jail? Jail? Ed? How does jail and Ed work together? I'm pretty sure Ed would go to jail, and before you know it, there would be all kind of Rotary clubs and everything in the jail, and the behavior would change. But when that happened, and you were on your journey to know that you were going to be sitting in a detention center for a while, what was your frame of mind?
Exactly what I said before, which is that I see it in the context of a spiritual path. I believe that everything happens for a reason. I believe that there are lessons to be learned, and I believe that a key for everyone in every experience is that you have to take full responsibility for yourself and your part in manifesting, if you will, that which has occurred. And if indeed it's something that perhaps you'd rather not have reoccur, you need to take a close look at it, understand what your part was in allowing it to manifest or making it manifest, and choose to do something different. You know, but I will say this, you know, without giving details, just, well, I'm going to say God bless Senator Tom Davis, because he was just absolutely instrumental in springing me from BCDC. And, you know, from the day that I got out, well, and honestly, from the day that I went in, I was just absolutely, completely blown away and overwhelmed. I mean, everyday packages are showing up, everyday cards are showing up, everyday visitors are showing up, and it got to be like a joke. And it's like, what's, you know? Come on, give it a break, will you? Can't you have one visitation without like 5 people lined? You know, and it was a blessing in terms of seeing just this incredible outpouring. But the thing that Tom said to me as we were exiting the facility, he said, "Man, you know, you are the poster boy for getting caught in the perfect storm between." I'll just say that it related to the aftermath of a divorce, coupled with just insane, how shall we say, devastation of real estate holdings. You know, and you know, and he predicted correctly that upon my exit, virtually everyone in the community would come up to me at one time or another and say, "Man, you know, I had to unload 6 properties, or I just had to short sell a house, or I just had to move out of this house and downsize and go to that house." He correctly predicted that A, it affected everybody in our community, and B, the nature of the perfect storm that hit me is everyone's worst nightmare, and they're just really thankful that it didn't happen to them.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to think that's probably the 2 worst situations that we can come in on life. Number one, no one goes into any marriage with the thoughts of divorce. So of course, when that happens, that's one of the worst situations you can be in. And then you think about the way our time has come financially and with real estate and everything, to see that so many people are losing homes, whether it's Hilton Head or around the country, and whether it's quick sales or going through having to just sell it,
foreclosure, walking away.
Absolutely.
I got 5 empty houses on my block.
Yeah.
5 empty houses that have all gone into foreclosure, and we've not seen the end of that yet. But you know, to put it in context in terms of a spiritual path and a lesson to be learned, you know, a lot of the people when I got out, they're like, "Whoa, you must want to just like take it to that judge, or take it to that bank, or take it to your ex." And you know, one of the blessings was I had a ton of time to read, and one of the books that I read was Nelson Mandela, The Long Journey Home. This guy was in jail for 27 years, and he was beaten and he was tortured. And when he got out, folks suggested the same thing. You must really want to put it to the guys that were involved in the process whereby you ended up in there. And his quote was, you know, bitterness is like drinking poison and waiting for the other guy to die.
Yeah.
And for me, that's, you know, life lesson.
Like they said, when you work on revenge, you need to dig 2 graves.
Yeah, there you go.
For sure.
There you go.
Now, for you, when you're in there, and of course, I touched on it a little bit. Of course, you know, there would be outside influence, as Senator Tom Davis, but also you had people sending, you know, gift packages,
and books,
yes, and just to say, "Hey, Ed, you're on our minds."
Yeah.
But now,
Prayers.
from
Oh
the inside, of course, what kind of influence did you have on people when you were there? Because, like I told you earlier, I now go to Allendale Correctional Facility to help one of my mentors teach the 12-step program. Now, coming from your background of always wanting to help in the community, give me some insights and a couple examples of how you were a positive influence to the people that you were around while you were in there.
Well, you know, I'll tell you 2 things. One was my CO, my commanding officer, the day I left. I was in there for 3 months, and he said, you know, I can't draw a diagram, and I can't explain exactly how or why or what. He said, but, you know, over the course of the 3 months that you've been hanging out here, it's like the atmosphere has changed. People are chilling. There's less fights. You've somehow, and I don't know how, because it seems like magical to me, but he said somehow or other, since you've been here, I just feel like the atmosphere is more positive and less, you know, there's a lot of testosterone and opportunity for conflict among certain members of that group. And he just said thanks, because he said it's probably going to go back to what it was before you got here. And then another one I'll tell you is that when I first got there, this kid came in and he made a promise to his mom, and he said he was going to go through the GED curriculum while he was there. Well, he jumped in with the books on the first day and realized it was more than he could handle by himself, and he was going to need a mentor and a teacher. And it was just a great thing, because you know, you really do have quite a bit of time on your hands where, you know, it's like, all right, what am I going to do now? And so, you know, we ended up, I was tutoring probably two hours a day, maybe. And I think he was there for like 30 days. But the great news is, just by coincidence, the day that I left, the guard who was like putting shackles on me before I went into the courthouse for the final hearing, at which, again, God bless Senator Tom Davis, he sprung me out of there. Turns out she's the mother of the kid that I had tutored, and she tells me that he passed his GED the week before.
Man, Ed, it's a pleasure. Every time we get together, it's great conversation. You know, you're a blessed man. You really are. And it's a pleasure to not only have you on, but it's a pleasure to know you, Ed. I mean, it's everything about the relationship that we have shared from the very beginning has been a very good thing for me. So
a very
I
good
thank you
thing
very much.
For me too.
Ed,
I thought I was here to promote my business. Is the show over?
yeah, I guess we got here to talk about Ed is what we did. You thought we were going to talk about you. Well, this has been Lowcountry View with Earl Yates, and of course, I've had a very special guest on, Ed McCullough. Of course, everyone knows a little bit about Ed. I hope now that you know a little bit more about Ed, you have a little better understanding of who he is. Mr. Ed, Eddie Mac, Ed McCullough. Thank you for watching today, and I hope the rest of your day is more pleasant. Take care.